71,000 American soldiers went into the coldest European winter in 50 years. 4 full divisions came out broken. Not from German bullets, not from artillery shells, from something nobody thought to plan for. The cold itself, the enemy that didn't shoot back. The enemy that just waited, and when the Army's own investigators looked at the damage afterward, they called it largely preventable. That's the part that still stings. This isn't a story about combat. This is what happens when the most powerful military on Earth sends its boys into winter, wearing gear designed for autumn, and what those boys figured out to stay alive. Anyway, so before we get into this, if you've been listening to these and they're helping you drift off, a subscribe would be cool. I'm always curious where everyone's tuning in from. Actually, drop your city and what time it is where you are. All right, let's head back to December 1944. Belgium, the Ardennes forest. But first, get comfortable. I mean it. Adjust those pillows, pull that blanket up, because where we're going, you're going to be grateful for every bit of warmth you've got. Your eyes open in the back of a truck. A 2.5-ton transport packed so tight with soldiers that nobody can move without elbowing someone in the ribs. The wooden bench under you has been rattling your spine for hours, maybe 12 hours, maybe more. You stopped counting somewhere around the French border. Your name is Jimmy Callahan. You're 19 years old. 6 weeks ago, you were milking cows on your family's farm outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Your mother cried when you left. Your father shook your hand and said nothing, which was his way of saying everything. Your little sister gave you a letter to open on Christmas. It's still in your pocket waiting. Now you're a replacement rifleman heading somewhere nobody will tell you, wearing a field jacket that the Army swore would keep you warm, but which feels about as useful as a wet newspaper, the M1941 field jacket. Army tests already confirmed it was too light for cold climates. The engineers knew they developed a better one, the M1943 model. But those jackets are sitting in warehouses hundreds of miles behind the lines while you freeze. The guy next to you, a kid from Texas named Eddie Martinez, has been asleep for the last 4 hours with his head on your shoulder. You don't mind. The warmth is nice. He told you on the ride that he'd never seen snow before joining the Army. Grew up in San Antonio, where winter meant putting on a light sweater. It's cold, not Pennsylvania cold, which you thought you understood. Not that crisp winter morning cold where your breath fogs up and you pull your collar a little tighter. This is something else. This is cold that gets into your bones and sets up house there. Cold that makes your jaw ache from clenching. Cold that finds every gap in your clothing and drives straight through like it's got a personal grudge. The truck lurches. Martinez wakes up with a snort. We there yet? His voice is scratchy. He's been saying that every time he wakes up for the last 6 hours. Don't know. Your voice comes out rough too. You haven't had water in a while. The canteen froze. Outside, through the canvas flap at the back of the truck, you can see gray sky, gray trees, gray road, and white. So much white. Snow piled up on everything like the world decided to start over fresh and just erased whatever was there before. The trees look like ghosts. The road looks like it goes nowhere. Your stomach growls. You haven't eaten properly since yesterday. Your throat is dry, scratchy. The canteen at your hip is a block of ice. Now, the cold has a smell you've noticed, like metal and wet stone and something else underneath that you can't name. It smells like the walk-in freezer at the butcher shop back home, but colder, emptier. The convoy slows, stops. You hear shouting up ahead, American voices, but panicked. Wrong somehow. Then you see them, soldiers, American soldiers, dozens of them, coming down the road toward your convoy. Walking, some running, but not marching. Nothing organized about it. Just men moving as fast as they can in the opposite direction you're heading. What the hell? Martinez sits up straighter. One of them, an officer by the look of his insignia, although his face is so covered in frost, you can barely tell, stumbles past the back of your truck. He's not wearing a helmet. His hands are empty. His eyes are empty too. "Don't go up there," he says, not yelling, just stating it like a fact. The Germans are coming. They're going to kill everyone. Run. More soldiers stream past. You watch them throw down their rifles, their packs, their ammunition belts, anything that weighs them down. The road behind them starts to look like a yard sale of military equipment. A perfectly good Garand rifle lands in a snowbank. A bedroll unspools across the road. You've never seen anything like it. In training, they taught you that soldiers don't run. But these men aren't retreating. They're fleeing, Jesus. Someone in your truck whispers, "The officer who told you to run is already gone, disappeared into the gray." But more keep coming. Some of them are crying. Some of them are just staring straight ahead like they've already died and their bodies haven't figured it out yet. You've been in the army long enough to know what this is. These men have broken. Whatever they saw up there, it broke them, and you're headed straight into it. The movies show the firefights, the explosions. What they don't show is the waiting, the not knowing, the sitting in the back of a truck watching other men fall apart and wondering if you're next. The convoy doesn't stop, doesn't turn around, just keeps grinding forward through the snow while those broken soldiers stream past in the opposite direction. Martinez starts collecting stuff. Every time a piece of abandoned equipment passes within reach, he grabs it, extra socks, a wool cap someone threw aside, a box of K-rations that landed in the snow. "What are you doing?" You ask. "Whatever's up there," he says, stuffing the socks inside his jacket. "We're going to need more than we've got." Smart. You start doing the same. By the time the convoy finally stops, you've scavenged 2 extra pairs of socks, a wool blanket some poor guy decided was too heavy to carry while running for his life, and half a carton of cigarettes that fell out of someone's pack. You also found a newspaper, German from the looks of it. One of those propaganda leaflets they dropped from planes. You almost threw it away, but something made you keep it. Maybe because it was paper, maybe because your grandmother used to stuff newspaper in the walls of the farmhouse when winter got bad. You don't know it yet, but that newspaper might save your life. The trucks empty out into a forest. Pine trees mostly, tall ones, the kind that block out what little light the gray sky lets through. Snow knee-deep in places and cold. God, the cold. A sergeant you've never seen before starts barking orders. Dig in, set up defensive positions. The Germans hit hard 3 days ago, broke through the line. Now they're pushing for a town called Bastogne. Something about road networks. 7 roads all meeting in one place. The Germans want it. We can't let them have it. None of that matters to you right now. What matters is your feet. You can't feel your feet. Not numb exactly. More like they're not there. Like everything. Below your ankles has been replaced with something that belongs to someone else. You stomp them. Flex your toes inside your boots. Nothing. Hey, Martinez appears next to you. He's got a shovel. We're bunking together. Come on. Bunking together like you're going to camp. Like this is something normal. You grab your own shovel and follow him to a spot between 2 pine trees. The trees provide a little cover from above. Important because German artillery likes to aim for trees. The shells hit the branches and explode outward, sending shrapnel and splinters raining down. They call them tree bursts. We dig here, Martinez says. 2-man foxhole. Forget regulations. We make it big enough to sleep in. Both of us, we need warmth. More than we need regulation. You start digging. The ground is frozen. The first 6 inches feel like you're trying to shovel concrete. Your arms burn. Your shoulders scream. Sweat starts to form on your back, which seems insane given how cold it is. But there it is. Wet and clammy under all those layers. That's bad. You learned that in basic. Sweat in cold weather means death. The moisture sits there, steals your heat, freezes against your skin. You're supposed to pace yourself, work in bursts, but there's no time. Martinez is digging like a man possessed. Every few seconds he looks up at the tree line, at the gray nothing where the Germans might appear at any moment. Every few seconds he digs faster. My sergeant in basic, he says between shovels, told me something. Said the guys who dig fastest survive longest. Said a foxhole is worth more than a rifle in winter. You believe it. By the time you've got a hole deep enough to sit in, your arms feel like they're going to fall off, and your back is soaked through with sweat. The hole is ugly, not regulation at all. But it's yours. Martinez climbs in. You climb in after him, and immediately you understand something. The wind stops down here. Below ground level, the air isn't still exactly, but it's not that relentless cutting wind that's been soaring at your face for the last 12 hours. It's almost like the earth itself is blocking it. Better, Martinez says, better, yeah. Then the cold starts to seep up from the ground. See? Here's what they didn't tell you. What nobody told you until you were actually sitting in a frozen hole in Belgium, with Germans somewhere out in the dark. The air will get you. The wind will get you. But the ground will drain you dry. You're sitting on frozen earth. Minus 10 degrees, maybe colder, and all that body heat you've been generating, all that sweat you made digging this hole, it's pouring straight down into the dirt like water down a drain. Within 20 minutes, you can't feel your legs. Within an hour, your teeth are chattering so hard you bite your tongue. The taste of blood mixes with the taste of cold, metallic and sharp. This isn't working, you say. Your voice sounds strange, thick, like someone else is using your mouth. Martinez nods. He's shaking too, both of you. Just two guys in a hole in the ground, slowly freezing to death, while the German army is somewhere out there doing God knows what. You think about your mother's kitchen, the wood stove that made the whole room glow orange in the winter, the smell of bread baking, what you would give for that wood stove right now. That's when you remember the newspaper, the German one, the propaganda leaflet. You pull it out from inside your jacket where you stuffed it hours ago. It's crumpled, damp from your sweat, but it's paper. What are you doing? Martinez watches you. You're not sure yourself, but you remember your grandmother. You remember the farmhouse. You remember her saying something about trapped air being what keeps you warm, not the material itself. You start crumpling the newspaper page by page, wading it up into loose balls, not tight, loose, like she used to do before stuffing it into the walls. Give me your jacket, you say to Martinez. He looks at you like you're crazy. But he does it. He's too cold to argue. You stuff the crumpled paper inside the lining, around the shoulders, down the sides. Anywhere there's space, then you do the same for yourself. Then you take what's left and pack it around your feet, inside your boots as best you can. It takes a while. Your fingers are so numb you can barely work them. But eventually, both of you are lined with crumpled German propaganda. And slowly, so slowly, you almost think you're imagining it. The shaking starts to ease. Holy hell, Martinez whispers. It's working. It's not warm. Let's be clear about that. You're still cold. You'll be cold for the next 3 weeks straight, actually, and you'll never forget what that feels like as long as you live. But you're not dying anymore. The paper is trapping little pockets of air against your body, and those pockets are holding just enough of your heat to keep you on the right side of alive. You didn't invent this. You'll learn later that soldiers all across the Ardennes were figuring out the same thing, stuffing newspapers and magazines and propaganda leaflets into their clothes. German newspapers, French magazines, anything they could scrounge. The physics is simple. Air is what insulates. Not wool, not cotton, not down feathers. Those materials just trap air in place, stop air from moving, and you stop losing heat. All those microscopic chambers in crumpled paper do the same thing as expensive insulation, just cheaper and more available if you know where to look. Your grandmother knew? Depression-era wisdom passed down from families who couldn't afford to heat their homes properly. And now, 80 years later, that same wisdom is keeping American boys alive in Belgian foxholes. Martinez is looking at you different now. You farm boys know stuff, he says. You almost laugh. Almost. But your face is too frozen for that. Somewhere out in the dark, artillery starts up. Deep booming sounds like thunder that doesn't stop. Could be German, could be ours. The sound echoes through the forest, rattles the trees, makes snow fall from the branches in little cascades. At this point, it doesn't matter whose guns they are. All that matters is the whole, the paper, and the fact that you're still breathing. You think about what you saw today. The fleeing soldiers, the abandoned equipment, the fear in their eyes. You think about the letter in your pocket, the one from your little sister, the one you're supposed to open on Christmas. Christmas is what? A week away? Maybe less, you've lost track. You'll open it, you decide. You'll survive long enough to read whatever your sister wrote. Morning's a long way off, but you're going to make it. Maybe, probably, Martinez shifts next to you. His shoulder presses against yours. The contact is oddly comforting. Get some sleep, he says. I'll take first watch. Your eyes are already closing. The exhaustion of the last day, the cold, the fear, all of it pressing down on you like a physical weight. The last thing you hear before drifting off is Martinez humming something under his breath. A song you don't recognize. Something from Texas, probably. Something warm. Tomorrow, you'll learn more about surviving this place. Tomorrow, you'll discover that paper was just the beginning. You wake up and for a second, you don't know where you are. Then the cold reminds you. It hits like a fist. Every joint aches. Your fingers feel like they belong to a corpse. Your back is pressed against frozen dirt. And it feels like someone has been draining the life out of you through your spine all night long. Like vampires, but instead of blood. They're taking heat. Every last bit of it. Martinez is already awake. Crouched at the edge of the foxhole, with his rifle pointed at nothing in particular. The sky above is gray. Still gray. Always gray. You're starting to think Belgium doesn't have any other colors, Morning, he says without looking at you. You try to respond, but your jaw is locked, frozen in place. You have to work it back and forth a few times before words come out. Your lips are cracked, taste like blood. How long was I out? 4 hours maybe? I let you sleep through your watch? You want to be angry about that. You should be angry. A man's supposed to pull his own weight, but honestly, you're too cold to feel much of anything besides cold. You sit up or try to. Your body doesn't want to cooperate. Everything moves slow, like you're underwater, like you're one of those wind-up toys that's running out of juice. Your neck makes a cracking sound when you turn it. That can't be good. The paper in your jacket crinkles when you move. Still there, still doing its job. Sort of, you're not dead. Which counts for something, but God, you're cold. Colder than you've ever been. Colder than you thought a person could be, and still have a heartbeat. The ground, you say? Martinez nods. Yeah, I know. Because that's the thing. The paper helped with the air. Helped trap some heat against your skin. Kept the wind from cutting straight through you, but the ground doesn't care about your crumpled newspaper. The ground just takes. You've been lying on frozen earth all night. -5, -20. Who knows? And all that time, your body heat has been pouring straight down into the dirt, like you're some kind of human radiator trying to warm up all of Belgium. We got to do something about that, Martinez says, or we're not going to make it. He's right. You know he's right. The paper was a good start, but it's not enough. You need something between you and the ground, or this hole is going to be your grave. The forest wakes up around you. Other foxholes, other soldiers. You can hear coughing, groaning, the sound of men who've spent the night in frozen dirt and are now paying the price. Somewhere to your left, someone is crying. Not loud, just quiet, steady weeping. The kind that comes when you've been cold so long you forget what warm feels like. A voice cuts through the noise, loud, commanding. Listen up. You peek over the edge of your foxhole. There's a sergeant making his way through the trees. Older guy, maybe 40. Face like leather that's been left out in the weather too long. He's got the look of someone who's seen things, survived things. The kind of guy who probably has stories he'll never tell. I know you boys are freezing, he says. I know the army sent you out here with gear that ain't worth a damn in weather like this. So I'm going to teach you how not to die, Martinez, and you exchange a look. The sergeant stops in front of your foxhole, looks down at you like he's inspecting cattle at auction. You two out now. You climb out. Your legs barely work. It's like someone replaced your knees with rusty hinges overnight. Look at this hole, the sergeant says. You dug it good, deep enough, wide enough for two. But you made a mistake. You know what it is? You shake your head. You're sleeping on bare ground. Frozen ground. He spits into the snow. Might as well sleep on a block of ice. Actually, ice would probably be warmer. At least ice doesn't conduct heat as fast as this Belgian clay. He crouches down, picks up a handful of dirt. It's frozen solid, comes up in chunks. Heat moves two ways out here. Through the air, which you boys figured out with your newspaper trick. Yeah, I saw that smart Depression-era stuff. My mama used to do the same thing back in Oklahoma. He tosses the dirt back down, but heat also moves through contact. You touch something cold, your body heat flows into it. Basic physics and the ground. The ground is one big heat sink. You lie down on frozen earth. Your calories start draining out through your back. Your legs, your rear, 2 hours of that, maybe 3. And your core temperature drops low enough that your organs start shutting down. He stands up, brushes off his hands. So what do we do about it? Nobody answers. We build a barrier, an insulation layer. Something between us and the ground that traps air and stops our heat from draining away. He starts walking, expects you to follow. You do. Martinez right behind you. The sergeant leads you to the edge of the tree line, where the pines give way to a small clearing. There's a Belgian farmhouse in the distance, half destroyed by artillery. Smoke rises from somewhere behind it. Between you and the farmhouse, a barn, also damaged, but still standing. That barn, the sergeant says. You see it? You nod. Inside that barn is straw. Hay, whatever the Belgians call it. That's gold right now. Better than gold? Gold can't keep you alive when it's 20 below. He starts walking toward the barn. You follow. But we can't always find barns, he continues. Sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere. Just trees and snow and Germans who want to kill you. So you got to know how to work with what the forest gives you. He stops next to a pine tree, reaches up and grabs one of the lower branches. Pine boughs, see how they spread out? All those little needles, they trap air. Same principle as your newspaper. You pile enough of these on the ground, 6 inches thick at least, and you've got yourself a mattress that won't kill you. He snaps off a branch, hands it to you. No pine trees, dry leaves work, dead grass, anything that creates loft. Anything that puts airspace between your body and the ground, you understand? Yes, Sergeant, the veterans, he says. And something in his voice changes, gets quieter. The guys who made it through Normandy, through Holland, they figured this out the hard way. Lost a lot of good men before they did. What they learned is this. You need at least a foot of material under you, 12 inches minimum, and you don't just pile it up random. You layer it. He demonstrates with the pine bough, lays it flat. First layer goes one direction, 6 inches. Then you add another layer on top, going the other way. Perpendicular. You know what that does? Martinez speaks up, stops compression channels. The sergeant looks at him, nods. Texas? San Antonio. You've been paying attention. Yeah. If you pile everything the same direction, the weight of your body pushes the material down and creates channels. Little paths where the cold can get through. You cross-layer. Those channels don't form. The air stays trapped. Your heat stays in your body where it belongs. He starts walking toward the barn again. Straw is best. Pine boughs second. Leaves third. But honestly, anything is better than bare ground. I've seen guys use corn stalks, cattails, anything they could find. One soldier down in the Hurtgen stuffed his foxhole with German newspapers and dead grass and lived when the guy next to him, who slept on bare dirt, froze to death before morning. The barn door is hanging off its hinges. Inside it smells like animals and old hay and something else underneath that you don't want to think about too hard. But there's straw, piles of it, golden and dry, and the most beautiful thing you've seen since leaving Pennsylvania. Take as much as you can carry. The sergeant says, fill that foxhole of yours. Make it comfortable. You're going to be there a while. You and Martinez start grabbing armfuls of straw. It's dusty, makes you sneeze, but it's dry. That matters more than anything right now. Wet insulation is worse than no insulation at all. Sergeant, you say as you're loading up, the boots, they told us to wear extra socks. 2 pairs, 3 pairs, but it's making things worse. He stops, looks at you. Yeah, it would. Why? Because the boots aren't sized for extra socks. You add layers. You compress the material. You cut off blood flow to your feet. No blood flow means no heat. No heat means tissue death. That's how you get trench foot. That's how you lose toes. He shakes his head. The British figured that out before we did. Their boys are fighting in the same forest, same temperatures. You know how many cold injuries they've had? You wait, almost 0, because they sized their gear, right? Because they trained their men. Because they didn't send boys into winter with equipment designed for autumn. There's anger in his voice, real anger. The kind that comes from watching men die for stupid reasons. We're the most powerful military on earth, he says. And we're losing soldiers to the weather. Not to the Germans, to the damn weather. He picks up his own armful of straw. So you learn, you adapt. You figure out what works, and you do it, even if it's not in the manual. The manual's sitting in some warehouse back in England, along with the winter gear we were supposed to get. We don't have the manual. We've got each other. The walk back to your foxhole feels longer than it should. The straw is awkward to carry. Keeps trying to escape from your arms, but you hold on. This stuff is going to keep you alive. Martinez is quiet for a while. Then he says, that sergeant, he's seen some things. Yeah. Think we'll make it? You don't answer right away. You look at the straw in your arms, at the gray sky above, at the snow-covered forest stretching out in every direction. I think we've got a better chance now than we did this morning. Back at the foxhole, you get to work, layer by layer. You build up a nest of straw at the bottom of the hole, 6 inches one way, and another 6 inches perpendicular. Just like the sergeant said, the straw crunches under your weight when you test it, but it doesn't compress all the way. There's still loft, still air trapped inside. Martinez adds the pine boughs you grabbed on the way back, lays them on top of the straw in a crisscross pattern. More air, more insulation by the time you're done. The floor of your foxhole looks like something a giant bird would nest in. Ridiculous, but warm, or at least warmer. You lie down, test it out. And for the first time since you arrived in Belgium, the cold doesn't immediately start drilling through your back. Holy hell, you whisper. Martinez lies down next to you. There's barely room for both of you, but you make it work, his shoulder against yours, the straw crackling under your combined weight. It's like a bed, he says, an actual bed. It's not really, but compared to lying on frozen dirt, it might as well be a feather bed in a fancy hotel. The difference is immediate. You can feel your body heat building up around you instead of draining away. The straw and pine boughs are doing their job, trapping air, creating a barrier between you and the frozen earth. You think about what the sergeant said, about the veterans who figured this out the hard way, about the men who died before anyone understood that the ground was the real killer, about the British soldiers in the same forest with almost no cold injuries, because someone somewhere thought to plan ahead. It makes you angry, not at the Germans, at something else, something you can't quite name, but anger takes energy. And right now, you don't have any to spare. Martinez pulls the wool blanket you scavenged over both of you, the one some fleeing soldier threw away. That blanket is worth its weight in gold now. Worth more, gold doesn't keep you alive. We should eat something, he says. You dig out the key rations from your pack. Frozen solid, of course. Everything's frozen out here. But you gnaw on the crackers anyway. Your body needs fuel, needs calories. The sergeant mentioned that too. Your body burns through energy trying to stay warm. 2,000 calories a day minimum, just to maintain core temperature. More if you're actually doing anything. The crackers taste like cardboard. You don't care. Outside the foxhole, the forest is coming alive. Not with birdsong, with the sounds of war, distant artillery, the pop, pop, pop of small arms fire somewhere to the north, engines rumbling, voices shouting in German, in English, in languages you don't recognize. The battle is still going. The Germans are still out there, still pushing toward Bastogne. But right now, in this moment, none of that matters. What matters is the straw under your back, the blanket over your legs, the warmth slowly building up in your little patch of earth. What matters is survival. Martinez finishes his crackers, wipes crumbs from his frozen beard. Get some sleep, he says. Real sleep this time. I'll take first watch. You took watch all night. Yeah, well, someone's got to. He grins. It looks wrong on his frozen face. But it's still a grin. Besides, I'm from Texas. We don't sleep when there's trouble coming. You want to argue, but your eyes are already closing. The straw is soft under your head. The blanket holds in what little warmth your body makes. Tomorrow, you'll have to face whatever the Germans throw at you. Tomorrow, you'll have to figure out how to stay alive for another day in this frozen hell. But right now, for just a few hours, you can rest. And maybe, just maybe, you won't wake up frozen to death. That's the best you can hope for out here. It's enough. You think about home as you drift off. About the farm. About your father's hands, rough and strong from a lifetime of work. About your mother humming in the kitchen while she cooked. About your little sister reading by the fire, her feet tucked under her. Always complaining that the house was too cold, even when the wood stove was burning. Too cold. She didn't know what cold was. Neither did you until now. You think about the letter in your pocket. Still haven't opened it. Still waiting for Christmas. If Christmas ever comes out here, if you live that long, Martinez starts humming again. That same song from last night, soft and low, barely audible over the distant sounds of artillery. You still don't know what it is. Some Texas thing, probably. Something from a world that feels very far away right now. The straw rustles beneath you. The blanket holds in warmth. Your breath fogs in the air above your face. A small cloud that forms and dissolves. Forms and dissolves. Proof that you're still alive. Still alive for now. The cold presses in from all sides, patient and hungry. But for the first time since you arrived in this frozen forest, you've got a fighting chance against it. Paper in your jacket, straw beneath your back, a buddy beside you who won't let you freeze. It's not much, but out here, it's everything. 3 days pass, or maybe 4. You've stopped counting. Time works different out here. There's daylight, and there's dark, and there's the cold that doesn't care which one it is. The straw helps. God, does it help? You and Martinez have been sleeping better, if you can call it sleeping. More like passing out from exhaustion and waking up only half frozen instead of completely frozen. But it's something. It's progress. The problem is everything else. Your foxhole is too shallow. That's what the veterans keep telling you. The guys who've been in the field since Normandy, since Holland, since before you even knew Belgium was a place you'd end up dying in. They walk past your position and shake their heads. Too shallow. They say you got to go deeper, deeper, like you're digging your own grave, which technically you might be. But they're right. You know they're right. Because every time the wind picks up, every time the snow starts falling, every time the temperature drops another few degrees, your little nest of straw and pine boughs isn't enough anymore. The cold finds a way in, always does. Martinez is the one who finally says it out loud. We need a roof. You're both crouched in the foxhole, trying to eat K rations that have frozen so solid you could use them as hammers. The sun is going down, which means the temperature is about to drop from miserable to unbearable again. A roof, you repeat, and we need to go deeper, like way deeper. I've been watching the guys from the 506th. Their holes look like they're going to China. The 506th, the paratroopers. The guys who jumped into Normandy on D-Day and somehow lived to tell about it. They've been in combat for over 100 days now. If anyone knows how to survive, it's them. How deep, you ask? Deep enough that when you stand in the hole, your head is below ground level. 3 feet at least, maybe more. 3 feet? That's a lot of frozen dirt to move. A lot of work, a lot of sweat, which means a lot of danger. But if it keeps you alive, okay, you say, let's do it. You start digging the next morning. And that's when you learn something that changes everything. See, the ground isn't just cold. The ground is smart. Or at least it acts like it is. The deeper you go, the more stable the temperature gets. Not warm exactly. Never warm, but steady. Above ground, the air temperature swings crazy. 30 degrees during the day, -5 at night. Your body can't keep up with that. Burns through calories trying to adjust. Trying to maintain, trying not to die. But underground is different. You figure this out around noon when you've dug down about 2.5 feet. Your shovel hits something softer. The dirt changes color. Goes from that frozen gray-brown to something darker. Almost black. And when you put your hand against it, really press your palm flat against the earth, you feel it. It's not warm, but it's not cold either. It's just there, neutral. Like the ground at this depth hasn't gotten the message yet that there's a war going on, and everyone's supposed to be freezing. You pull your hand back, stare at your palm. There's dirt on it. Dark and moist, not frozen. Just cool, Martinez. Feel this. He crawls over, presses his own hand to the dirt. His eyebrows go up. What the hell? It's the thermal mass. You don't know where that phrase comes from. Maybe something your father said once back, when he was explaining why the root cellar stayed cool in summer and warm in winter. Why Grandma's house never got too hot, even in August, because she had built it into the side of a hill. The earth holds on to whatever temperature it's got. Takes forever to change. Up top, the air goes crazy every day. Down here, it's like a battery storing heat from summer. Hasn't let go of it yet. You dig out another shovelful. Same dark soil. Same neutral temperature. It's like finding buried treasure. Except the treasure is just not being frozen. Martinez is looking at you like you just pulled a rabbit out of your helmet. You sure you're just a farm boy? Farm boys know dirt. You keep digging. By late afternoon, you've hit 3 feet. The foxhole now looks less like a hole and more like a small room, wide enough for both of you to lie down, deep enough that when you sit on the bottom, only your head sticks above ground level. The walls are solid, packed earth. The floor is that darker soil, the stuff that hasn't frozen all the way through. But the real magic happens when Martinez starts working on the roof. He's gathered branches from the pine trees, thick ones, lays them across the top of the foxhole like rafters, spacing them about a foot apart. Then he piles more pine boughs on top of those. Then dirt, then snow. What are you doing? Making a lid? A lid? The 506th guys do it. Keeps the wind out, keeps the snow out. And that layer of dirt on top, he pats the roof he's building. That's more insulation, more thermal mass, more steady temperature. When he's done, the foxhole has transformed. There's a small opening on one end, just big enough to crawl through. Inside, it's dark, cramped, smells like pine and dirt, and 2 unwashed soldiers who haven't seen a proper bath in weeks. But it's quiet. The wind that's been screaming across the forest all day is gone. You can hear it up above, howling through the trees. But down here, it's like someone hit a mute button. And the temperature, God, the temperature. It's not warm. You need to understand that. Nothing out here is warm. But compared to what you've been living through, it feels like climbing into a sleeping bag. It feels like the root cellar back home. That constant cool that was a relief in August and a comfort in January. We should have done this days ago, Martinez says. Yeah, you should have. But you didn't know. Nobody told you. The army sure as hell didn't tell you. They were too busy sending you out here with jackets designed for September and boots sized for 1 pair of socks. You lie down on your bed of straw and pine boughs. The earth presses against your back through the insulation, but it doesn't drain you like before. There's a difference between frozen ground and ground that's just cold. The frozen stuff will kill you. The cold stuff you can survive. The difference is about 3 feet of depth. That night you sleep better than you have since arriving in Belgium. Not well, not comfortably, but better. The shaking eases sometime around midnight. Your jaw unclenches, your hands, tucked inside your jacket against your stomach, actually start to thaw. Martinez is snoring. Actual snoring. You haven't heard anyone snore since you left the troopship. Everyone's been too tense, too cold, too scared to sleep deeply enough for snoring. But here, in this hole, in this underground room you've built with nothing but shovels and desperation, the human body can finally do what it needs to do. Rest. You wake up to voices outside. Quiet voices, American voices, but urgent. Martinez is already awake. Peering out of the foxhole entrance with his rifle ready, you crawl up beside him. There's a group of soldiers gathered about 50 yards away. Some of them you recognize, some you don't. They're clustered around something on the ground. Someone? What's going on? Think we lost one. The words hit different out here. Back home, losing someone meant they wandered off. Got confused? Took a wrong turn? Out here? Losing someone means they died. Means the cold or the Germans got them. You and Martinez make your way over. The snow crunches under your boots. The air is so cold it burns your lungs with every breath. The body is lying at the edge of a shallow foxhole. Standard depth, maybe 2 feet, the kind you were sleeping in 3 days ago. The soldier is young, maybe your age, maybe younger. His face is white, not pale, white. Like marble, like snow, frozen in his sleep, someone says. Found him this morning. Wasn't responsive, wasn't breathing. You look at the foxhole, at the thin layer of branches covering the top that wouldn't keep out a stiff breeze. Let alone a Belgian winter night. At the bare ground beneath where the body must have been lying, He did everything the army told him to do. Built his hole to regulation depth, covered it the way the manual said, wore his gear the way they trained him, and he died anyway. What was his name? Martinez asks. Nobody answers. Maybe nobody knows. Replacements come through so fast, now you can't keep track. Here one day, gone the next. Some to combat, some to cold injuries, some to this, Henderson. Someone finally says. A sergeant standing at the edge of the group. Private First Class Robert Henderson. Kentucky. Kentucky. You've never been to Kentucky. You try to picture it. Rolling hills, maybe horses, bourbon. Warm summers and mild winters, where the worst thing that happens is a little frost on the grass. Someone bends down and closes Henderson's eyes. They were open, staring at nothing, blue eyes, you notice. The same color as the frozen sky above. You wonder if he has a mother, a father, a girl back home waiting for a letter that's never going to come. You wonder if he was scared at the end, or if the cold just took him gentle, slipped him away in his sleep before he even knew what was happening. Maybe that's a mercy. Maybe dying in your sleep while the cold wraps around you like a blanket is better than the other ways to go out here. Better than catching a bullet in the gut and bleeding out in the snow. Better than stepping on a mine and spending your last minutes staring at where your legs used to be. But it's still death, and it's still wrong. Because Henderson didn't have to die. He did everything right, everything he was told. And it killed him anyway. Henderson didn't know what he was walking into. None of you did, but now you know something he didn't. You know about depth. You know about thermal mass. You know about the difference between frozen ground and cold ground, between a shallow hole and a deep one, between following the manual and staying alive. You wish you could have told him. You wish someone had told him. But there's no time for wishing out here. There's only time for surviving. You turn away from the body. Head back to your foxhole, your deep, covered, insulated foxhole that might just keep you alive long enough to see Christmas. Martinez walks beside you. Neither of you says anything for a while. Then he speaks. We teach the others. What? What we learned. The depth, the roof, the thermal mass thing. We teach the other guys. The replacements coming in, the ones who don't know yet. You think about it. Think about Henderson lying there in the snow, white as marble, dead because nobody told him what you learned through trial and error and pure dumb luck. Yeah, you say, we teach them that afternoon. You and Martinez start making the rounds, foxhole to foxhole, showing guys how to go deeper, how to build roofs, how to read the soil. Because here's the thing about soil. Not all dirt is the same. Some of it will save your life. Some of it will kill you just as sure as a German bullet. The sergeant from before, the one who taught you about straw, he explains it while you're helping dig out a new position for some guys from Ohio. Chalk, he says, picking up a handful of lighter-colored earth. This stuff drains. Water runs right through it. Your hole might be cold, but it'll be dry. Dry is good. Dry keeps you alive. He picks up another handful. Darker, heavier, sticks together like clay. This stuff is death. Clay holds water like a sponge. Pulls at the bottom of your foxhole. Soaks through your clothes. Never dries out. You lie down in a clay hole. You'll wake up with trench foot. If you wake up at all, how do we tell the difference? Feel it. Clay is smooth, sticky, chalk crumbles, and look at the color. Lighter is usually better. Darker means more organic material, which means more water retention. He wipes his hands on his trousers. The Germans figured this out before us. They've got a whole doctrine for it. Field construction, they call it. Build with whatever the landscape gives you. Read the ground like it's a map. Use the terrain instead of fighting it. You think about the Germans out there in the forest, the enemy. but also apparently people who know how to survive winter. Who planned for this? Who came prepared? The most powerful military on Earth. And you're learning survival tips from your enemies. There's something deeply wrong about that. But there's no time to be angry. Anger takes energy. Energy takes calories. And calories are something you don't have enough of. That's the other problem, the one nobody's solved yet. Your body is burning through fuel faster than you can replace it. Every shiver, every clenched jaw, every desperate attempt to generate heat costs something. 2,000 calories a day just to maintain core temperature. 3,000 if you're doing any actual work. Digging foxholes, carrying equipment. Just walking through knee-deep snow burns calories like crazy. And you're barely getting half that from the frozen car rations that pass for food out here. Yesterday, you tried to do the math. How many crackers in a K ration? How many calories per cracker? How much energy you burn just lying still in the cold? The numbers didn't add up. They weren't even close. You're running a deficit every single day, spending more than you're taking in. Your body is eating itself to stay warm. You're running on empty. All of you, Martinez has lost weight. You can see it. His face is thinner, sharper. His eyes look bigger because everything else is shrinking. His cheekbones jet out now. He's got that hollow look, the one you've seen in pictures of starving people in magazines. You probably look the same, probably worse. The guys who've been here longest look like ghosts, walking skeletons in olive drab, stumbling through the forest on legs that don't have any meat left on them. Some of them can barely carry their rifles anymore. Food, warmth, shelter, the three things every human needs to survive. You've figured out shelter, sort of the deep foxholes with their roofs, and their straw beds are keeping you alive. Not comfortable, but alive. But food and warmth, those are still a problem, still unsolved. Still slowly killing you even as you huddle in your underground rooms, waiting for the Germans to attack. You need heat, real heat, fire. But fire on the front line means smoke, and smoke means a target. And a target means German artillery dropping on your position within minutes. You've seen it happen. Watched a group of guys try to warm their hands over a small fire they thought was hidden well enough. The shells came down 10 minutes later, 3 of them dead. 2 more wounded, so bad they had to be carried out on stretchers. The Germans have spotters everywhere. They've got the high ground in places. They've got eyes in the sky when the weather clears. And they've got artillery that can drop shells on a dime once they've got your location. So you sit in the dark, in the cold, burning through calories you can't replace. Slowly starving and freezing at the same time. There has to be a better way. There has to be. You just haven't found it yet. But you're going to keep looking, keep learning, keep passing on what you know to anyone who will listen. Because out here, knowledge is warmth, and warmth is life. And you're not ready to die. Not yet. Not in this frozen forest in a country you'd never heard of 6 months ago. You pull the blanket tighter around your shoulders. Martinez shifts beside you, his breathing already evening out toward sleep. Tomorrow, you'll figure out the fire problem. Tomorrow, you'll find a way to get warm without getting killed. Tomorrow, for now, you close your eyes. Listen to the wind howling above your underground shelter. Feel the steady, neutral temperature of the deep earth pressing against your back through the straw. And you rest, because rest is survival. 2, 1 more night, 1 more day, 1 step closer to Christmas. You're going to make it. You have to. The answer to the fire problem shows up 3 days before Christmas. It comes in the form of a corporal named Whitfield. Georgia boy? Been in the army since '42. Survived North Africa, Sicily, and Normandy. The kind of guy who's seen so much that nothing surprises him anymore. He walks into your section of the line, carrying a canvas bag that clinks when he moves. Sets it down next to your foxhole entrance, and squats on his heels like he's got all the time in the world. Heard you boys been teaching the replacements how to dig proper holes. You look up from the frozen ration you've been trying to gnaw through. Your jaw hurts from biting into what is basically a brick of frozen meat and crackers. Word travels fast. Small Forrest, he grins. Missing a tooth on the left side? I got something that might help with that other problem you got. What problem? He nods at the ration in your hands. The eating ice for dinner problem, from his bag. He pulls out something that looks like a small metal can. Olive drab, about the size of a quart bottle. Maybe 3 pounds. There's a pump mechanism on one side and a burner assembly on top. What is that? Coleman Pocket Stove M1942. Best piece of equipment the Army ever issued. And I say that as someone who's driven a Jeep across 2 continents. He sets the thing down on the frozen ground and starts working the pump. A few strokes, maybe 10, and he flicks a lighter, holds it to the burner, and twists a valve. The flame that comes out is blue and steady. Not huge, not a bonfire, but real, actual fire. Heat you can feel on your face from 2 feet away. You stare at it like it's a miracle. Which honestly, it kind of is. Where the hell did you get that? Supply depot about 20 miles back. They've got crates of these things just sitting there. Nobody told the quartermasters to send them forward. He shakes his head. Story of this whole damn war. Everything we need is somewhere else. Martinez has crawled out of the foxhole now. He's staring at the flame the same way you are. Like a caveman seeing fire for the first time. It burns gasoline. Whitfield pulls out a small metal cup from his bag, fills it with snow, and sets it on top of the burner. Leaded gas, unleaded, kerosene, diesel. I've run it on captured German fuel when I couldn't find anything else. Doesn't care. Burns hot either way. The snow in the cup is already starting to melt. You watch the edges turn liquid, watch the water start to steam. In less than 2 minutes, it's boiling. Boiling water, hot water. You haven't had anything hot in your mouth since England. Here, Whitfield pulls out a packet of instant coffee. Army issue. The stuff tastes like dirt even under the best circumstances. But he dumps it in the cup, stirs it with his finger, and hands it to you. The first sip burns your lips. You don't care. The heat travels down your throat, spreads through your chest, radiates out into your arms and legs. It's not much, a few ounces of hot liquid, but after days of nothing but frozen food and snow you've melted in your mouth, it feels like someone just poured warmth directly into your bloodstream. Oh my God, yeah, Whitfield is grinning again. That's what everyone says. He makes another cup for Martinez, and one for himself. The 3 of you sit there in the snow, hunched around this tiny stove with its blue flame, drinking coffee that tastes like heaven and dirt mixed together. How many of these are there, you ask? At the depot? Hundreds, maybe thousands. The Quartermaster Corps put out the specs back in '42. Needed something that could work from -60 to 125 degrees. Earn any fuel, portable enough to carry in a pack. He pats the stove. Coleman delivered. 5,000 BTUs per hour in something that weighs less than a canteen. And they're just sitting in a warehouse. Supply chain's a mess. Has been since Normandy. Half the stuff we need is stuck somewhere between here and the beaches. The other half never left the States. He takes a long sip of his coffee. The British planned for winter. Had the right gear shipped before they even landed, us? We were supposed to be in Germany by now. Nobody planned for getting stuck in Belgium in December. You think about Henderson, about the M1941 jacket that was too thin, about the boots sized for 1 pair of socks, about all the ways the Army set you up to fail and then acted surprised when men started dying. How do we get more of these? Whitfield reaches into his bag again, pulls out 2 more stoves identical to the first. Already done? One for you, one for your buddy here. I've been running them up from the depot whenever I can get a jeep, spreading them around the line. You take the stove he hands you, hold it in your hands. 3 pounds of metal that might be the difference between making it to Christmas and not. Why? Why what? Why are you doing this? Running supplies up to the line when you don't have to. Whitfield is quiet for a moment, stares at the flame still burning on his own stove. Lost a lot of friends in North Africa. Good men died because they didn't have the right equipment, the right information, the right support. He looks up at you. I figure if I can keep even one kid from freezing to death in a foxhole, that's worth the risk of a supply run. Nobody says anything for a while. The fire hisses, the wind blows. Somewhere in the distance, you can hear the rumble of artillery. German guns, probably. Or maybe American. Hard to tell anymore. The Germans have something similar. Whitfield says eventually. Little tablet stoves, Espit, they call them. Burn these solid fuel blocks. Hexamine, portable as hell, but low output. Takes forever to heat anything. And the British, Tommy cookers, Geld alcohol, works okay. But you can only burn the one fuel. Run out of gel. You're out of luck. He gestures at the Coleman. This is American engineering at its best. High output, multi-fuel, works in any condition. Problem is, it's American logistics at its worst. Best stove in the war? And half our guys don't even know it exists. You spend the next hour learning how to use it, how to prime the pump, how to light the burner without singing your eyebrows off, how to adjust the flame for different fuels. Whitfield is patient, shows you twice, makes you do it yourself until you've got it down. One more thing, he says before he leaves. Don't use this in your foxhole at night. The flame doesn't make much smoke, but it makes enough. And the light will give away your position faster than a bonfire. So when do we use it? During the day, in the trees, when there's enough other smoke and activity that one more little flame won't stand out. Heat up your food, heat up some water, get some warmth in your belly before nightfall. Then button up in your hole and ride out the dark cold. It's not a perfect solution. Nothing out here is perfect, but it's something. A few minutes of heat during the day. Hot food in your stomach. Warm water to drink. Short bursts of comfort. That's all any of you can hope for anymore. Christmas Eve comes quiet. No big attack. No artillery barrage. Just the usual distant rumbling and the occasional crack of rifle fire from the perimeter. The Germans are out there somewhere in the dark, but tonight they're not pushing. Maybe they're celebrating too. Maybe even they need a break. You and Martinez are huddled in your foxhole. The straw beneath you is getting flattened, starting to lose its insulation. You'll need to gather more soon, but for now it's enough. Earlier you heated up your K rations for the first time since you got here. Actually heated them. Used the Coleman to warm a can of meat and beans until it was almost hot. Not steaming, but warm enough that you could taste something other than frozen. The difference was incredible. Same food you've been choking down for weeks. But this time, your body actually wanted it. This time you could feel the calories hitting your system. Feel the energy spreading through your muscles. Hot food isn't just about comfort. It's about survival. Your body processes warm food faster, extracts more nutrients, wastes less energy breaking it down. All those days of eating frozen rations, you are only getting maybe half the calories. Your stomach had to warm everything up first. Burn energy just to digest. Now with hot food, you're finally getting what you need. It's still not enough. You're still running a deficit. But the gap is smaller now. The edge is taken off. Martinez pulls something from his jacket pocket. A small bottle, glass, what's that? Calvados, apple brandy. Traded a pack of cigarettes for it from one of the Belgian farmers way back last week. Been saving it. He uncorks the bottle. takes a small sip, and passes it to you. "Merry Christmas, Jimmy. The brandy is smooth, warm going down, even at whatever frozen temperature it's been sitting at in his pocket." You take a small sip and pass it back. "Merry Christmas, Eddie." It's the first time you've used his first name. Out here, everyone goes by last names. Callahan, Martinez, Henderson, Whitfield. First names feel too personal, too close, like if you use them. You're admitting these are real people who might die tomorrow. But it's Christmas Eve, and you're both still alive. And maybe that's worth a little closeness. "You got family back home?" he asks. "Parents, a sister. Farm outside Harrisburg. They know where you are?" "They know I'm somewhere in Europe. That's all the letters say. Somewhere in Europe. Doing fine. Don't worry." You laugh. It comes out bitter. "My sister's probably decorating the tree right now. My mom's making pie. And here I am sitting in a hole in the ground wondering if I'll ever see any of them again." "You'll see them. You don't know that." "No. But I'm choosing to believe it anyway." He takes another sip of the brandy. "Mia, back in San Antonio, she's got this thing she says. Espera, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. She's been saying it my whole life. Smart woman, survived a lot, revolution in Mexico. Immigration, the Depression. She's tougher than any of us." He grins in the darkness. "She'd probably look at this foxhole and tell us we're being soft." You laugh. A real laugh this time. The brandy is warming your stomach. The straw is keeping the worst of the cold at bay. And somewhere above you, past the roof of pine boughs and dirt and snow, the stars are probably out. You can't see them from down here. But you know they're there. The same stars your sister is looking at right now back in Pennsylvania. The same stars your parents are wishing on. The same stars that have been watching over soldiers in every war since the beginning of time. "Hey, Jimmy." "Yeah, thanks for teaching me about the newspaper thing back when we first got here. That first night, you'd almost forgotten. The crumpled paper you'd stuffed in your jacket. The air pockets that trapped heat. It feels like a lifetime ago. But it's only been a couple of weeks. Wasn't anything special. Just something my grandma taught me. It was special to me. I think it might have saved my life." You don't know what to say to that, so you don't say anything. Just reach over and clap him on the shoulder. 2 soldiers in a hole. Christmas Eve, still breathing. The brandy bottle makes another round. Then Martinez puts it away. Can't drink too much. Alcohol thins the blood. Makes you feel warm while actually making you colder. A few sips for morale, then back to the serious business of not freezing. "What do you think's going to happen," he asks, "tomorrow?" "All of it. The battle, the war, after." You've been trying not to think about after. After feels like tempting fate. Like making plans for a future that might not exist. "I don't know. I think Patton's coming." That's what the officers keep saying. Third Army rolling up from the south. If we can hold out long enough, the cavalry arrives. And if we can't, then we can't. And none of this matters anyway. Martinez is quiet for a long time. Then he shifts. Pulls his blanket tighter around his shoulders. "I'm going to make it," he says. "I've decided. I'm going to make it through this. Go home to San Antonio. Marry Rosa Delgado. Spend the rest of my life eating her mother's tamales. Rosa Delgado? Girl I went to high school with. She doesn't know I exist? But I've got a plan." "What's the plan?" "Survive the war. Come home a hero. Should have to notice me then." You shake your head, but you're smiling. It's ridiculous. It's hopeful. It's exactly the kind of stupid optimism that keeps people alive out here. "All right," you say, "we survive. You marry Rosa Delgado. What about me? You go back to your farm, raise pigs, or whatever you do in Pennsylvania. We do more than raise pigs." "Sure you do." He's grinning. You can hear it in his voice, even if you can't see it in the dark. Pigs and what? More pigs? Corn, wheat, dairy cows. Okay, you go home and milk cows. And every Christmas Eve, you'll think about the time we sat in a frozen hole in Belgium, drinking French apple brandy. It's a deal. The wind picks up outside. You can hear it rushing through the trees, howling like something alive and angry. But down here in your underground room with its straw floor and pine roof, the sound is distant, muffled, like a storm you're watching through a window. Tomorrow the Germans might attack. Tomorrow you might have to fight for your life. Tomorrow everything could change. But tonight is Christmas Eve. And you're warm enough. And you're not alone. The sister's letter is still in your pocket. You've been saving it, waiting for the right moment. Maybe tomorrow you'll open it. Maybe Christmas morning. Whatever passes for morning out here. Or maybe you'll keep saving it. Keep holding on to that unopened envelope like a promise. Something to look forward to. Something to survive for. Martinez's breathing is evening out, falling into the rhythm of sleep. The brandy helped. The hot food helped. The shelter you built together is doing its job. You close your eyes. Think about home, about Christmas. Trees and apple pie, and a fireplace that doesn't have to be hidden from German artillery. One more night, one more day. You're going to make it. You have to believe that now. It's the only way forward. Christmas morning brings a smell. You notice it before you even crawl out of the foxhole. Something sweet and wrong. Like meat that's been left out too long. Like the back room of a butcher shop in August. Martinez notices it too. His nose wrinkles. What is that? You don't answer because you're pretty sure you know. And you don't want to be right. The smell is coming from the aid station. A tent about 200 yards behind the main line, marked with a red cross that's supposed to keep the Germans from shelling it. Supposed to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You make your way over. Not because you want to, but because you need to know. Need to understand what you're fighting against out here. The cold is an enemy same as the Germans, and you can't beat an enemy you don't understand. The medic at the entrance looks exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes, blood on his sleeves that he hasn't bothered to wash off. He sees you approaching and holds up a hand. You don't want to go in there. What's happening? Trench foot, we've got 6 cases this morning alone. 3 of them, he trails off, shakes his head. 3 of them aren't walking out of here. Ever, the smell is stronger now. That sweet rotting stench that cuts through the frozen air like a knife. You've smelled death before. This is different. This is death that's still attached to a living person. Can I see? The medic looks at you for a long moment. Then he steps aside. Maybe you should. Maybe if more guys saw this, we'd have fewer cases. Inside the tent there are cots lined up in rows. Most of them occupied. Some guys are sleeping or trying to. Some are staring at the canvas ceiling with eyes that have seen too much. A kid near the entrance is crying, silent tears rolling down his cheeks while he holds his bandaged hands against his chest. Frostbite, probably. You've seen it before. The fingers go white, then gray, then black. Sometimes they can save them. Sometimes they can't. Another guy is talking to himself. Rapid muttered words that don't make any sense. Shell shock maybe? Or maybe just the cold getting into his brain, making him see things that aren't there. The medics don't have time for him right now. Too many bodies, not enough hands. And at the far end, there's a curtain. The smell is coming from behind it. You walk toward it. Each step feels heavier than the last. Part of you wants to turn around, walk out of this tent, and pretend you never came in. But you keep moving. You need to see. Need to understand what happens when you stop paying attention. The medic follows. Behind the curtain, there's a soldier on a cot. Young, maybe 20. He's awake, but barely. His eyes are glassy, unfocused. Sweat beads on his forehead, even though the tent is cold enough to see your breath. And his feet, God, his feet, they're exposed. propped up on a rolled blanket, and they don't look like feet anymore. They look like something from a nightmare. Swollen to twice their normal size, the skin is split in places, cracked open like overripe fruit. The color starts at the toes, black, pure black, like charcoal, and fades up through purple to a sickly gray-white at the ankles. The smell is overwhelming. You have to breathe through your mouth just to stay standing. Private Kowalski, the medic says quietly, came in last night. Didn't change his socks for 4 days. Didn't dry his feet. Didn't tell anyone when the numbness started. What happens to him? Surgery. As soon as we can get him to a field hospital. The medic's voice is flat, professional, but you can hear the exhaustion underneath. Both feet, below the ankle, amputation. This kid, this boy who's barely older than you, is going to lose both his feet because he didn't change his socks. Why didn't he say anything when it started going wrong? They never do. At first the cold numbs everything. You can't feel the damage happening. Then when the feeling comes back, it's just pain. And everyone's in pain out here. So what's a little more? By the time it gets bad enough that they can't hide it anymore. He gestures at Kowalski's ruined feet. It's already too late. You stare at those feet. At the blackened toes that used to be pink and healthy, at the split skin oozing fluid, at the rot that's eating this kid alive from the extremities inward. This isn't a wound from combat. This isn't the Germans. This is what happens when your own body turns against you, when the cold and the wet get inside and start destroying tissue faster than it can heal. How do we stop it? The medic looks at you, really looks at you, like he's trying to figure out if you're serious or just asking to ask. You want the honest answer? Yeah, the army's been trying to figure that out since the last war. Trenchfoot killed thousands of guys in the trenches in France. Thought we'd learned our lesson. He laughs, but there's no humor in it. Apparently not. He walks you back toward the tent entrance, away from Kowalski, away from that smell. Here's what we know. It's not just about cold. It's about wet. Your feet can handle cold if they're dry. It's the combination that kills them. Water conducts heat away from your skin way faster than air does. Wet feet lose heat constantly. Blood vessels constrict to try to keep your core warm. Less blood to the feet means less oxygen to the tissue. Less oxygen means the tissue starts dying, so keep them dry. Easier said than done when you're standing in a foxhole full of melted snow. He sighs, but yeah, dry is the goal. Change your socks every chance you get. If you've got wet socks, put them inside your jacket against your body to dry them while you wear the dry pair. Rotate. Never let both pairs get soaked at the same time. He looks down at your boots, standard army issue, the same ones everyone's wearing. And here's the thing nobody tells you. Those boots, they're sized wrong. Army says wear 2, 3 pairs of socks for warmth. But the boots were designed for 1 pair. You cram extra socks in there. You compress everything. Compression cuts off blood flow. And without blood flow, he makes a slicing gesture across his ankle. You end up like our friend back there, so we can't even follow the Army's own advice. Welcome to the war. Kid, half the stuff they tell you will get you killed. The other half is outdated before it leaves the training manual. He shrugs. Best thing you can do is find boots that actually fit with the socks you're wearing. Trade with someone if you have to. A boot that's too tight is worse than one that's too loose. What else? Massage. Get the blood flowing. Wiggle your toes inside your boots even when you can't take them off. Move your feet. Flex your ankles. Anything to keep the circulation going. He pauses and check them every day. Look for the warning signs. Numbness that doesn't go away when you warm up. Skin that's pale or bluish. Swelling. Pain when you try to walk. Catch it early. You can recover. Wait too long. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. You leave the aid station with the smell still in your nose. It'll be there for days. Maybe forever. Every time you think about taking shortcuts with your feet, you'll remember that smell. Remember Kowalski's blackened toes? Remember the medic saying below the ankle, like he was talking about the weather. Back at the foxhole, Martinez is waiting. He sees your face and doesn't ask where you've been. That bad? Worse, you sit down on the edge of the hole. Pull off your boots. Your feet are pale, wrinkled from moisture, but still pink, still alive. You start massaging them, working blood back into the toes. We need a system. You say, for what? Feet, checking them, making sure we don't end up, like you can't say his name, don't want to make it real. Making sure we don't end up in that tent. Martinez nods slowly. He's seen guys carried out of the line, knows what happens to them. What kind of system? Sock rotation. Every 4 hours we switch. Wet pair goes inside the jacket to dry. Dry pair goes on the feet. We check each other, look for the signs. Numbness, discoloration, swelling every 4 hours. The medic said catching it early is the difference between keeping your feet and losing them. Martinez is quiet for a moment. Then he starts unlacing his own boots. Okay, let's start now. His feet look worse than yours, more wrinkled, a bluish tinge to the toes that makes your stomach clench. But when you press on the skin, the color comes back. Blood is still flowing. Damage is minimal. We caught it in time, you say, but we've got to stay on top of this. Every 4 hours, that afternoon you start making the rounds again, just like you did with the foxhole depth, just like you did with the straw layering, foxhole to foxhole, teaching what you've learned. Some guys listen, some guys don't. Some guys look at you like you're crazy, like you're making a big deal out of nothing. Wet feet. Who cares about wet feet when there are Germans in the woods trying to kill you? You try to explain, try to tell them about Kowalski, about the smell, about what below the ankle means for the rest of your life. Some of them get it. You can see it in their eyes. The moment it clicks, the moment they understand that the cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's actively trying to kill them one toe at a time. Others shrug and go back to whatever they were doing. You can't save everyone. You learned that a long time ago. All you can do is offer the knowledge and hope they're smart enough to use it. By evening, word has spread. The sergeants start enforcing it, not as a suggestion, but as an order. Foot inspections twice a day, mandatory sock rotation. Anyone caught with wet feet gets pulled from the line until they're dry. It feels stupid, feels like something your mother would make you do. But then you remember the smell. Remember Kowalski's face, slack and sweating, waiting for the surgeons to take his feet. Stupid keeps you walking. The army issues a poster. You see it tacked up at the supply point when you go to scrounge for extra socks. Big photograph right in the center. Blackened feet, swollen, split, rotting. The kind of image that burns itself into your brain and never leaves. This is trench foot. The text screams, prevent it. Keep your feet dry and clean, shock value, but it works. You watch guys stop in front of that poster, stare at it, then immediately start checking their boots for leaks. Martinez finds you a second pair of socks, trades his last pack of cigarettes for them. Now you've got 4 pairs between the two of you. Enough to run a proper rotation, enough to stay ahead of the wet, worth more than cigarettes. He says when he hands them over, worth more than gold. That night you wake up at 2 in the morning, not because of artillery, not because of Germans, because your internal clock has reset itself. 4 hours, time to check. You nudge Martinez. He groans, but he's already reaching for his boots. The system is becoming automatic, becoming habit, becoming the kind of thing you do without thinking. Like breathing or blinking. Your fingers are stiff from cold as you unlace. The leather is frozen in places, cracks when you bend it. You peel off the boot, then the sock. The air hits your bare foot, and it feels like being stabbed with 1,000 tiny needles. Your feet are okay, pale, cold, but dry. The skin is wrinkled, pruned like you've been in a bath too long. But when you press on the toes, the color comes back. Pink returns. Blood is still moving. Martinez's are the same. You check his while he checks yours. It feels strange holding another man's foot in your hands in the middle of the night. Intimate in a way that would have embarrassed you back home. But out here, embarrassment is a luxury you can't afford. We're good, you say. We're good, he confirms. You massage them in the darkness, working blood back into toes you can barely feel. The friction generates a tiny bit of warmth, not much, but enough to remind your body that these extremities are still part of you. Still worth saving. This is insane, Martinez mutters, waking up in the middle of the night to look at each other's feet. You'd rather wake up with no feet at all? He doesn't answer, just keeps rubbing his toes. Outside, the wind is howling again. Temperature's dropping. You can feel it in the air. That extra bite that means the mercury is falling past zero. On nights like this, the wet in your socks can freeze solid. Turn your feet into ice blocks that will never thaw properly, but you're dry, both of you. The rotation is working. The system is holding. You think about Kowalski again. Wonder if he's in surgery right now. Wonder if he's already lost his feet, or if the surgeons are still working on him. Wonder what he's going to do when he gets home. How do you work a farm with no feet? How do you walk your girl down the aisle? How do you play with your kids? They'll give him a Purple Heart, probably. A medal for getting injured in service of his country. But the medal won't bring back his feet. The medal won't help him climb stairs or chase his dog or stand at his father's grave. The medal is just metal. His feet were his life. And he lost them because nobody told him to change his socks. That's the part that keeps you awake. Not the Germans, not the shells. The fact that a kid from wherever Kowalski is from, you never even learned his hometown, is going to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair because the United States Army couldn't figure out how to keep its soldiers' feet dry. Some things are worse than dying. Kowalski found one of them. But you're not going to end up like him. Neither is Martinez. Not if you can help it. The 4-hour system becomes religion. You keep to it, even when you're exhausted. Even when every part of you wants to stay curled in your blanket and ignore the alarm in your head. Even when the Germans are shelling and it feels insane to worry about socks when explosions are lighting up the sky. Because the shells might miss, the bullets might go wide. But Trenchfoot doesn't miss. Trenchfoot is patient. Trenchfoot waits for you to slip up once. Just once. And then it takes everything. One more night, one more rotation. One more check. Your feet are still yours. And you're going to keep them that way. Dawn comes gray and cold. The clouds are low, pressing down on the forest like a lid. No air support today. The weather's too bad for planes, which means no bombing runs on the German positions. But also no supplies coming in by air. You're on your own. All of you. Just like you have been since this started. But you're learning, adapting, finding ways to survive that the Army never taught you. Newspaper for insulation, straw for ground cover, depth for thermal mass, hot food from portable stoves, and now sock rotation to keep your feet alive. Each piece fits together. Each lesson builds on the last. You're not just surviving anymore. You're building a system. A way of fighting the cold that actually works. And every day you make it through is another day closer to getting out of here. Patton's coming. That's what they keep saying. Third Army rolling up from the south. Relief is on the way. You just have to hold on long enough to see it. You check your feet one more time. Still pink, still attached, still yours. One more day. The temperature drops again on the 26th. You didn't think it could get colder. You were wrong. The thermometer at the command post reads -15, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. The kind of cold that makes your breath freeze before it leaves your mouth. The kind of cold that turns exposed skin white in minutes. The straw isn't enough anymore. The depth isn't enough. The sock rotation, The hot food, the newspaper insulation. All of it together isn't enough. You're lying in the foxhole, wrapped in every piece of fabric you own, and you're still shaking. Deep bone-rattling tremors that won't stop no matter how tightly you curl up. Your jaw is clenched so hard your teeth ache. Your fingers, tucked inside your jacket against your stomach, have gone from cold to numb to something beyond feeling. Martinez is pressed up against your back. You can feel him shaking too. Two people freezing together in a hole in the ground in Belgium. This isn't working. He says through chattering teeth, I know. We need to figure something out, or we're not making it through the night. He's right. You can feel it. The cold is winning. All your tricks, all your systems, all your careful planning, the cold doesn't care. It just keeps coming, keeps draining, keeps pulling heat out of your body faster than you can make it. You think about the physics. Try to remember what you learned. Heat moves from warm to cold. Your body is warm. The air is cold. The ground is cold. Everything around you is trying to steal what little warmth you've got left. But there's another body right behind you, another source of heat, another warm thing in this frozen world. Get closer, what? Closer. Press against me. No space between us? Martinez hesitates. You understand why. Two men lying together, bodies pressed tight. It's not something you'd do back home. Not something you'd even think about. But this isn't back home. This is survival. He shifts, presses his chest against your back. His arms wrap around you from behind, pulling you tight against him. His legs tangle with yours. Suddenly, there's no air between you, no gap for the cold to slip through. And something changes. It's not immediate. Not like flipping a switch. But slowly, gradually, you start to feel it. The shaking eases just a little. Your muscles, locked in that constant tremor, begin to relax. The spot where Martinez is pressed against you. Your back, your legs, your arms where they touch his, starts to warm up. Holy hell, Martinez whispers. Yeah, it's physics. Pure simple physics. Two bodies generate more heat than one. But it's not just the extra heat that matters. It's the shared space. The warmth you're both producing isn't escaping into the frozen air. It's trapped between you, building up, creating a microclimate that's 5, 10, maybe 15 degrees warmer than the air around you. You think about it more. Each human body puts out about the same heat as a 100-watt light bulb. 100 watts all by itself isn't much, not against temperatures this low. But 200 watts in a confined space with insulation all around, the math starts to work differently. It's not that you're making more heat together, it's that you're losing less. Every square inch where your body touches Martinez's body is a square inch that isn't exposed to the cold air. Every gap that's filled, every space that's closed, every bit of contact between you, that's heat that stays where it belongs. Inside, between you, keeping you alive. Your grandmother would have understood this. She used to talk about the old days before central heating, when families would pile into one bed during the coldest nights. Parents, children, grandparents, all stacked together under quilts piled 3 feet high. Not because they couldn't afford separate rooms, because sharing warmth was how you survived. Same principle, different war. You're not warm, not even close. But you're not dying anymore either. Why didn't we do this sooner? Martinez asks. Because it's weird. Weird beats frozen. Can't argue with that. You lie there tangled together like children. And for the first time in days, the shaking stops completely. Your jaw unclenches, your hands, still cold but no longer numb, start to tingle as blood flows back into them. 2 bodies, 1 space, shared heat. It's so simple, it's almost stupid, but it works. The next morning you tell the others. Some guys laugh. Some guys make jokes you won't repeat. Some guys look at you like you've lost your mind. But a few of them, the smart ones, the ones who've been paying attention, they nod. They get it. By nightfall, the whole line has figured it out. Foxholes that used to hold one man now hold two. Guys who barely know each other are lying back to back, sharing blankets, sharing body heat. Officers are sleeping next to enlisted men. Sergeants are curled up with privates. The whole social hierarchy of the army. All those rules about rank and distance and proper behavior. It all goes out the window when the alternative is freezing to death. The cold doesn't care about your stripes. The cold doesn't salute. You see a lieutenant. Actual commissioned officer. West Point ring and everything. Spooning with his radio operator. Neither of them says a word about it the next morning. Neither of them has to. Everyone understands. There's a staff sergeant from Michigan, mean as a snake. The kind of guy who'd put you on latrine duty for looking at him wrong. He's sharing a foxhole with a kid from Boston who can't be more than 18. At night, they're pressed together tight as brothers. During the day, the sergeant goes back to being a hard case. But when the sun goes down and the temperature drops, rank doesn't matter anymore. Physics doesn't care about your insignia. Physics just wants to drain your heat. And here, in this frozen forest, physics is the only thing that matters. You and Martinez develop a system. One of you sleeps while the other stands watch. When it's time to switch, the guy who's been on duty crawls into the foxhole, into the space that's already been warmed by the other body. He doesn't have to start from nothing. The temperature in that little underground room is already above freezing, held there by hours of accumulated body heat. Then the other guy gets up, takes his turn on watch, keeps the rotation going. His space never fully cools down, never drops back to that killing cold of the open air. As long as there's always someone in it, always a body generating heat, the microclimate holds. It's like keeping a fire going, except the fire is you, both of you, taking turns staying alive. The sergeants start enforcing it. Not the sleeping together part. That's personal. That's between the guys in each foxhole. But the buddy system itself, the checking, the watching out for each other. Squad leaders make rounds. They inspect feet. Yours and your partners. They check hydration. They look for the early signs of frostbite. White patches on ears and noses and fingers. They ask if you've eaten, if you've slept, if you've changed your socks. They've got a checklist now. Someone actually wrote it down. Adequate hydration. Check sock exchange completed. Check feet inspected for discoloration. Check partner showing signs of hypothermia. Slurred speech, confusion, extreme shivering, or no shivering at all. Check. The Rangers take it furthest. Those guys from the special operations units, the ones who train for everything, they turn the buddy system into actual doctrine. Partners are assigned, not chosen. Responsibilities are spelled out. If your buddy gets trench foot, you get disciplined too. If your buddy freezes to death, you've got to explain to the brass why you let it happen. Harsh maybe, but it works, because now everyone's watching everyone. Not just the sergeants, not just the officers. Every soldier in every foxhole is checking on the guy next to him, making sure he's eating, making sure he's rotating his socks, making sure he's not slipping into that dangerous place where the cold stops hurting and you just want to sleep forever. That's the real danger, they tell you. When it stops hurting, when you start feeling warm, when your body gives up trying to fight and just wants to let go. That's hypothermia. That's death dressed up as comfort. And that's why you need someone watching, always watching. It's annoying. Feels like being mother-henned by men with rifles. But it works, because here's the thing about exhaustion. When you're this tired, this cold, this worn down, you stop taking care of yourself. You forget to eat. You don't notice when your fingers go numb. You tell yourself you'll change your socks later, and later never comes. But your buddy notices. Your buddy sees you slipping. Your buddy shakes you awake when you fall asleep on watch. Your buddy forces you to eat when you've lost your appetite. Your buddy checks your feet when you're too tired to check them yourself. One person alone will let themselves die. Two people together will keep each other alive. That's the whole system. That's the whole secret. It's not about morale, although that helps. It's not about friendship, although that matters. It's about redundancy. About having someone else watching your back when you're too exhausted to watch your own. Martinez saves your life on the 28th. You don't realize it at the time. You're on watch, crouched at the edge of the foxhole, scanning the tree line for movement. The Germans have been quiet, but quiet doesn't mean safe. Quiet means they're planning something. Quiet means they're out there in the dark, maybe getting ready to push, maybe just waiting for you to let your guard down. You're tired, so tired that the trees are starting to blur, so tired that you keep losing track of time, blinking and finding that minutes have passed without you noticing. Your body wants to shut down. Every part of you is screaming for sleep. The cold doesn't help. It wraps around you like a blanket made of needles. Every breath hurts. Every blink takes effort. Your eyelids feel like they weigh 10 pounds each. And the only thing keeping them open is the knowledge that if you close them, you might not wake up, but the knowledge isn't enough. Not tonight, not after days of this. And slowly, without meaning to, you start to drift off. Your eyes close, your head drops. The rifle in your hands goes slack. The cold, which has been screaming at you to move, to fight, to stay awake, suddenly doesn't feel so bad. Suddenly it feels almost comfortable, almost peaceful. That's the danger sign. That's the moment when hypothermia stops being pain and starts being a lie. Your body is shutting down, and it's telling you everything is fine. Then Martinez is there, shaking you hard. Jimmy, Jimmy, wake up. You jerk awake, heart pounding, adrenaline flooding your system. For a second, you don't know where you are. For a second, you think you're back home in your bed, and someone's trying to wake you for chores. You can almost smell breakfast cooking, almost hear your mother calling from downstairs. Then the cold hits you. The forest comes back into focus. Belgium, Bastogne, the war. I fell asleep. Yeah, you did. You don't tell him about the dream, about how good it felt, about how close you came to just letting go. Martinez doesn't yell at you, doesn't lecture you about what could have happened if the Germans had attacked while you were out. He just hands you a cup, warm water from the Coleman stove. Not hot, but warm enough to wake you up, warm enough to pull you back from that dangerous edge. Drink this. I'll take the rest of your watch. That's not fair. You need sleep, too. I need you alive more. He settles into the watching position. Rifle ready, eyes on the trees. We made a deal, remember? We both make it home. You marry your farm. I marry Rosa Delgado. That's not how it. Just drink the water. Jimmy, you drink the water. It's tepid and tastes like metal. And it's the best thing you've ever had. You can feel it spreading through your body, pushing back the fog, bringing you back to yourself. Thanks, you say. That's what buddies are for. You crawl back into the foxhole, back into the space that's still warm from Martinez's body. The straw beneath you holds the heat. The walls around you block the wind, and slowly, carefully, you let yourself drift off. This time, it's okay. This time, someone's watching. That's how you survive the cold nights. Not alone, never alone. Always with someone beside you, someone to share your heat, someone to watch your back, someone to shake you awake when the exhaustion gets too heavy. The buddy system isn't complicated. It's not high-tech. It's not something the army dreamed up in a laboratory somewhere. It's just two people deciding that they're going to keep each other alive. And somehow, night after night, it works. The 29th passes. Then the 30th. The last days of the year tick by in that foxhole, in that frozen forest, with Martinez's back against yours and the shared warmth building between you. You hear rumors. Patton's army is moving. Relief is coming. The Germans are running out of fuel, running out of momentum, running out of time. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's wishful thinking. Either way, you hold on. One more night, one more buddy check, one more rotation. The system holds. The warmth holds, you hold. And somewhere under all that cold, under all that fear, something else starts to grow. Trust, real trust. The kind you can only build when someone has literally kept you from freezing to death. The kind that doesn't need words, because the proof is in every night you both wake up breathing. Martinez hums that Texas song again, soft, barely audible over the wind. You're pretty sure he doesn't even realize he's doing it. You close your eyes, feel his warmth against your back. Feel the steady rhythm of his breathing. The sister's letter is still in your pocket, still unopened. You've been carrying it for weeks now. This little envelope that weighs almost nothing, but somehow feels heavier than your rifle. You keep telling yourself you'll open it tomorrow, that you're saving it for a special moment, for Christmas, for New Year's, for the end of the battle, but really, you know why you haven't opened it. As long as it's unopened, you've got something to look forward to, something waiting for you, something that connects you to home, to your family, to the person you used to be before all this started. Once you read it, that moment is gone. Once you know what she said, there's nothing left to wonder about. So you carry it unopened, a promise to yourself that there's still a future worth reaching. Martinez shifts behind you. His breathing is evening out, falling into the rhythm of sleep. He trusts you to watch over him while he rests, just like you trust him to watch over you. That's what you've built here. Not just a system for surviving the cold, not just a method for staying alive, something deeper, something that will stay with you long after this forest is a memory. Brotherhood, real brotherhood, the kind that doesn't need words or explanations or anything, except two men deciding they're going to keep each other breathing no matter what. Tomorrow you'll face whatever comes, but tonight you're not alone, and that makes all the difference. New Year's Eve. You've lost track of how many days you've been here. 14? 15? The numbers blur together. All you know is that December started in a troop truck, and it's ending in a hole in the ground. And somewhere between those 2 points, you became someone different. The morning is quiet. Too quiet. The Germans have been pulling back for 2 days now. You can hear it in the distance. Engines, movement. The sounds of an army that's no longer advancing. They're retreating or regrouping or planning something worse. Nobody knows for sure. The officers aren't saying, but there's a feeling in the air. A shift. Something's changing. Martinez is awake beside you, chewing on a piece of hardtack that's been in his pocket for a week. The thing is basically a rock at this point, but calories are calories. You hear that? He asks. You listen? At first, nothing. Just the wind in the pines, the distant rumble that could be artillery or could be thunder. Then underneath it, something else. Engines, but not German engines. These sound different. Heavier, closer. Tanks, you say. Ours? I think so. You crawl out of the foxhole. The sky is still gray, still heavy with clouds, but there's a brightness at the edge of the horizon that wasn't there yesterday. The weather is changing, the ceiling is lifting, and coming up the road from the south, kicking up snow and mud and hope, is a column of Sherman tanks. American tanks, stars on the turrets, infantry walking alongside. Patton, Third Army, the cavalry. The relief that everyone's been promising for days. They're here. Someone down the line starts cheering. Then someone else. Then the whole forest erupts. Men climbing out of foxholes, waving their arms, shouting at the tanks like they're greeting long-lost family, which in a way they are. You stand there in the snow, watching the column approach, and something breaks loose inside you. something you've been holding tight since that first night in the foxhole. The fear, the desperation, the constant grinding certainty that you might not make it to tomorrow. Your throat goes tight, your eyes sting. You tell yourself it's the cold wind. It's not. The weight doesn't disappear. Not completely, but it loosens just a little. Just enough that you can breathe again. We made it, Martinez says. He's standing beside you now, staring at the tanks with an expression you've never seen on his face before. Wonder, disbelief, hope. His voice cracks on the words. We actually made it. We made it. The tanks keep coming. Dozens of them. And hundreds infantry, artillery. Supply trucks loaded with food and ammunition, and winter gear that should have been here weeks ago. A whole army rolling into the forest that almost killed you. You think about all the nights, all the cold, the newspaper insulation, and the straw beds, and the deep foxholes, the sock rotation and the buddy checks, and the shared body heat. Every trick, every adaptation, every desperate measure you took to stay alive long enough for this moment. It worked. All of it worked. You're standing here watching the cavalry arrive because you refuse to let the cold win. An officer jumps off one of the lead tanks. He's clean-shaved. His uniform actually fits. He looks like he stepped out of a recruitment poster. And for a second, you hate him. Hate that he's been somewhere warm while you've been freezing. Hate that he's rested while you've been running on empty. But the hate fades fast because he's here, because he brought help, because maybe now, finally, you can stop fighting just to survive. 101st Airborne, the officer asks. Parts of it. Someone answers. One of the sergeants, the one who taught you about straw. What's left? General Patton sends his regards. We're here to relieve you. Relieve, the word sounds foreign, like something from a language you used to speak but have forgotten. There's hot food coming up behind us. The officer continues. Medical teams, fresh winter gear. We'll get you rotated to the rear as soon as we can. Hot food? You can't remember the last time you had real hot food. The Coleman stove helped, but it could only do so much. A few minutes of warmth. Heated rations that were better than frozen, but still tasted like cardboard. Real hot food, made in a real kitchen. The thought makes your stomach cramp with hunger. When someone asks, few hours, we need to secure the perimeter first. Make sure the Germans are really pulling back. A few hours, after weeks in the cold, a few hours feels like nothing. The relief column spreads out through the forest. They're setting up positions, establishing defensive lines, doing all the things the army's supposed to do when it's not desperately clinging to survival. You watch them work with a kind of detached amazement. They move so efficiently, so smoothly, like they haven't spent the last 2 weeks learning that nothing works the way it's supposed to. Martinez nudges you. You see that? He's pointing at a supply truck. Soldiers are unloading crates from the back. The crates are marked with stencils. Winter gear, cold weather, Arctic. Inside you can see them, new jackets. The M1943 model. The one that actually works in cold climates. The one that should have been here from the start. And boots. Proper winter boots. The kind that are actually sized for extra socks. The kind that don't turn your feet into death traps. 3 weeks late. Martinez mutters, better late than never. Tell that to Henderson. Tell that to Kowalski. You don't have an answer for that. There isn't one. Henderson is dead. Kowalski lost his feet. Thousands of others are lying in aid stations across Belgium, paying the price for decisions made by people who never had to live with the consequences. The gear is here now. The help is here. But it doesn't erase what happened. Doesn't bring back the men who froze because the army couldn't figure out logistics. Still, it's something. It's hope. It's the first sign that maybe, just maybe, you're going to get out of this alive. The clouds break around noon. It happens slowly at first, a patch of blue here, a ray of sunlight there. Then the whole sky opens up, gray giving way to brilliant winter blue. And for the first time in weeks, you can see the sun. The cold doesn't disappear. If anything, the clear sky makes it worse. Without cloud cover, the temperature drops even further. But the clarity changes everything, because clear skies mean air support. You hear them before you see them. A distant rumble, different from artillery, deeper, growing. Then the first plane appears over the tree line. An American fighter, P-47 Thunderbolt, olive green against the brilliant blue. Then another, and suddenly the sky is full of them. Fighters, bombers, transport planes, the whole Air Force finally able to fly after being grounded for weeks by the weather. The Germans knew this was coming. That's what the locals said. They knew the weather was going to be bad, knew the Americans couldn't use their air power. That's why they attacked when they did. The whole offensive was timed around the weather. The Belgian farmers, the ones who stayed behind even when the fighting started, they told you this was the worst winter the region had seen in 50 years. Maybe 60. The old-timers couldn't remember anything like it. Snow this deep, cold this bitter, weather this relentless. The Germans picked their moment perfectly. Waited for the clouds, waited for the cold, waited until every advantage the Americans had. The planes, the bombs, the overwhelming air superiority that had dominated since D-Day was neutralized by nothing more than low visibility and freezing rain. And for a while, it worked. The clouds kept the planes on the ground, the American advantage. All those factories, all those pilots, all those machines was neutralized by nothing more than weather. Mother Nature fighting for the Germans. But now the clouds are gone, and Mother Nature doesn't pick sides. The planes start making runs on the German positions. You can hear the explosions in the distance. See the smoke rising from the tree line where the enemy was dug in. After weeks of nothing but artillery and infantry, the full weight of American firepower is finally coming to bear. It's beautiful. Terrible and beautiful. You know there are men dying under those bombs. German men, sure, but men nonetheless. Soldiers who are probably just as cold and scared and desperate as you were. Soldiers who are following orders just like you, but right now. In this moment, all you can feel is relief. The cavalry has arrived. The skies have opened. The siege is breaking. You're going to live. The hot food arrives around 3 in the afternoon. Actual hot food, cooked in field kitchens that the relief column brought with them. Soup, thick with vegetables and meat. Fresh bread that steams when you tear it open. Coffee, real coffee, not the instant stuff from the car rations, hot enough to burn your tongue. You sit with Martinez on the edge of a supply truck, eating like you've never eaten before. The soup burns going down, but you don't care. The heat spreads through your body, warming you from the inside in a way that the Coleman stove never could. This is the best thing I've ever tasted, Martinez says through a mouthful of bread. You said that about the brandy. The brandy was second best. This is first. You laugh. A real laugh. The kind that comes from somewhere deep. From a place that's been locked up tight since you got here. It feels strange, unfamiliar, but good, around you. Other soldiers are doing the same. Eating, laughing, talking. The tension that's been holding everyone together is finally starting to release. Men who haven't smiled in weeks are grinning. Men who haven't spoken are trading stories. The whole atmosphere has shifted from survival to something approaching normal. It's not over. You know that. The Germans are still out there. The war isn't won, but this battle, this particular nightmare, is ending. You made it through. The sergeant from before, the one with the straw, the one who taught you about chalk and clay and thermal mass, walks over. He looks different in the daylight. Older, more tired than you realized, but there's something in his eyes that wasn't there before. Satisfaction maybe, or just relief. You boys did good. He says, we had help. You had each other. That's more than some had. He looks out at the forest, at the foxholes dotting the landscape, at the men emerging from holes that have been their homes for weeks. We lost a lot of people out here, too many. But the ones who made it, they made it because they learned, adapted, took care of each other. He turns back to you. You taught a lot of guys how to dig proper holes, how to insulate, how to check their feet. You probably saved more lives than you realize. You don't know what to say to that. It doesn't feel like you saved anyone. It feels like you just barely kept yourself alive, and Martinez, and maybe a few others who are willing to listen. But maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any of them could do. Thank you, Sergeant. He nods, moves on to another group of soldiers. Another quiet word of acknowledgement, another piece of recognition for men who did something extraordinary without even realizing it. The medics set up a station near the supply trucks. They're checking everyone, feet, fingers, ears, looking for frostbite, for trench foot, for all the damage that the cold has done. Some guys get bandaged up and sent back to the line. Others get tagged for evacuation. Their injuries too severe to treat in the field. The line is long. Hundreds of men all waiting their turn to find out how badly the winter has hurt them. You see guys with blackened fingers, guys with ears that look like they've been burned, guys who can barely walk, hobbling on feet that are swollen to twice their normal size. And you see the ones who are fine, the ones who figured it out, who dug deep, who rotated their socks, who checked each other and took care of each other, and did all the things you're supposed to do. They're walking normally, smiling, looking forward to hot food and new boots, and maybe a few hours of actual rest. You can tell who paid attention and who didn't. It's written on their bodies. You and Martini stand in line, waiting your turn. When the medic finally gets to you, he looks at your feet with something approaching surprise. Not bad, he says, some minor damage, but nothing permanent. You've been rotating your socks? Every 4 hours, both of us checked each other every rotation. The medic looks up from his clipboard, studies your face for a moment. Buddy system. Yes, sir. Smart. He makes a note on his clipboard. You'd be surprised how many guys didn't figure that out. Keep doing what you're doing. You're one of the lucky ones. Lucky, that's one word for it. But luck didn't teach you about newspaper insulation. Luck didn't dig your foxhole 3 feet deep. Luck didn't wake you up every 4 hours to check your feet. That was learning, adapting, fighting back against an enemy that didn't care how tough you were, or how brave you were, or how American you were. Martinez gets the same diagnosis. Minor damage, nothing permanent. The system worked, the buddy checks, the rotation, the constant vigilance. It kept your feet attached to your legs. It kept you walking when so many others ended up carried. We did it. Martinez says, as you walk away from the medical station, we actually did it. We're not done yet, I know, but we're past the worst part. The rest of this, he gestures at the forest, at the supply trucks, at the clear sky overhead. The rest of this is just war. We know how to do war. It's the freezing I wasn't sure about. He's right. The cold was the enemy you weren't trained for. The enemy nobody prepared you for. And you beat it. Not through strength or courage or anything heroic. Just through paying attention, learning, adapting, helping each other. That's all survival ever is really. Paying attention to what's killing you and finding a way to stop it. The sun starts to set around 5. The light turns golden, then orange, then pink. The shadows stretch across the snow. And for the first time you notice how beautiful this place is. The pine trees heavy with frost. The clean white snow untouched, except for footprints and foxholes. The way the light catches the ice crystals in the air and makes them sparkle. You've been so focused on not dying that you forgot to look up. Forgot to see the world around you as anything other than a threat. Tonight, though, tonight you can see it. Martinez is talking about Rosa Delgado again. About the house he's going to build for her. About the kids they're going to have. About the life that's waiting for him back in San Antonio if he can just get through this war. You let him talk. It's good to hear someone planning for the future. Good to remember that there is a future somewhere past the foxholes and the frozen rations and the constant fear. Your future is less clear. The farm maybe, your family. But beyond that, you don't know. The war has changed something in you. Burned away pieces that you didn't even know you had. Left behind someone different. You'll figure it out later. When the fighting is done, and you can think about something other than survival. For now, you're just grateful to be here. Grateful to be alive. Grateful for the hot food in your belly, and the clear sky overhead, and the friend beside you. One more night, but this time it's different. This time you know you're going to make it. They pull you off the line 2 days into the new year, 1945. A whole new year stretching out ahead of you like a road you can't see the end of. The war isn't over. There's still fighting to do, still ground to take, still a long way to go before you can finally go home. But Bastone's behind you. The forest, the foxholes, the frozen nights. All of it fading into memory as the supply truck carries you away from the front. Martinez is beside you, wrapped in one of the new winter jackets they handed out. It fits him properly, actually keeps the wind out. He looks almost warm for the first time since you met him. Where do you think they're taking us? He asks, rear echelon probably, rest and refit. Get our strength back before they throw us at the next problem. The truck bounces over a rut in the road. You grab the side to steady yourself. The motion doesn't bother you like it used to. After weeks of sleeping on frozen ground, a bumpy truck ride feels like luxury. Through the canvas flap at the back, you can see the landscape passing by. Snow-covered fields, bombed-out farmhouses, the occasional Belgian civilian watching the convoy with expressions you can't quite read. Gratitude maybe, or just exhaustion. Everyone's exhausted these days. You reach into your pocket. Feel the envelope there, still unopened. You've been carrying it for so long now that it's become part of you. A weight you've grown used to, a promise you've been afraid to keep. But maybe now is the time, maybe with the worst behind you. You can finally let yourself hear what she had to say. You pull out the envelope. It's battered, creased from being pressed against your body for weeks. The corners are worn soft. The ink of your name, slightly smudged from sweat and snow. Martinez notices. Finally going to open that? I think so. About time. Your fingers are stiff from cold as you work the flap open. Inside there's a single sheet of paper. Your sister's handwriting. Familiar and strange at the same time. Dear Jimmy. It begins. Mom told me I shouldn't write to you about anything sad because you've got enough to deal with over there. So I'm not going to tell you about how the milk cow died last month, or how Dad's been having trouble with his back, or how I failed my history test. Which is ironic, don't you think, given where you are? Instead, I'm going to tell you about the good stuff. The apple tree by the barn is doing really well. Remember how we thought it was going to die after that ice storm 3 winters ago? Well, it's stronger than ever now. Dad says some things just need time to recover. I got into the nursing program at the hospital in town. I start training in February. By the time you get home, I'll probably know how to bandage wounds and take temperatures and all that stuff. Maybe you can be my first patient, assuming you don't already know everything about medicine from patching yourself up over there. Christmas was quiet without you. Mom made your favorite pie anyway, the apple one with the crumbly top. And she cried when she put it on the table. Dad didn't say anything, but I could tell he was thinking about you. I don't know what it's like where you are. I don't know if you're cold or scared or hurt or just bored. But I know you're strong, stronger than you think. You always have been. Come home soon, Jimmy. The farm needs you. We all do. Your sister, Elena, P.S. I know you hate it when I say I'm proud of you, so I won't say it. But I'm thinking it really loud right now. You read the letter twice, 3 times. The words blur as your eyes go wet. She was right about the pie. You can almost taste it. The sweetness of the apples, the butter in the crust, the warmth of the kitchen where your mother baked it, where you used to sit on winter mornings with your hands wrapped around a mug of coffee, watching the frost creep up the windows. Home? It's still there, still waiting, still real. Even if it feels like it belongs to someone else now. Good news, Martinez asks. Yeah. You fold the letter carefully, put it back in the envelope, back in your pocket, close to your heart. Yeah, it's good news. The truck keeps moving. The forest falls away behind you. The road stretches forward. You think about everything you learned out there, everything you figured out. Not from manuals or training or anything the Army taught you, from trial and error, from desperation, from watching what worked and what killed people, paper. Just crumpled paper stuffed inside your jacket, creating air pockets that trapped heat. The same thing your grandmother used during the Depression, when families couldn't afford real insulation. The same physics that keeps birds warm with their feathers. Air is the insulator, not the material itself, but the stillness of air held in place, prevented from moving, prevented from carrying your heat away. Straw, pine boughs, dry leaves, anything that creates space between you and the frozen ground, captures air, slows the transfer of heat from your body to the earth that's trying to steal it. Cross-layered for strength, a foot thick at minimum, tested by pressing down and making sure it springs back. Ground insulation wasn't optional. It was the difference between waking up and not waking up. Depth, going down instead of up. Finding that layer of soil where the temperature stays stable, where the thermal mass of the earth itself becomes your ally instead of your enemy. 3 feet down the ground doesn't freeze. 3 feet down, the wild swings of day and night temperatures smooth out into something survivable. You learn to read the soil like a farmer reads the sky. Chalk for drainage, clay for disaster, dark earth for the warmth that hadn't left from summer. The roofs made of branches and dirt and snow, creating a space that stayed warmer than the air, that blocked the wind, that turned a hole in the ground into something almost like shelter. The veterans from the 506th showed you that the paratroopers who'd been fighting since D-Day, who'd figured out what worked through months of cold nights, hot food, not just for comfort, but for survival. Your body processes warm food faster, extracts more energy, wastes less fighting to heat up frozen rations. The Coleman stove, 3 pounds of American engineering that burned anything you could pour into it. A few minutes of flame, a cup of hot coffee. The difference between running a calorie deficit and actually getting what you need. And feet, always the feet, rotation, massage, inspection. Treating every sock change like a religious ritual, because the alternative is blackened toes and a surgeon reaching for his saw. The wet was worse than the cold. Compression was worse than loose boots. Every 4 hours without fail, no matter how tired you were. You checked, you made sure. None of it was complicated. None of it required special equipment or advanced knowledge. Just paying attention. Just learning from mistakes, your own and others. Just refusing to accept that the cold was going to win. But even all that wasn't enough by itself. The thing that really saved you was simpler, older, more human. It was Martinez pressing against your back on the coldest nights. It was the buddy checks every 4 hours forcing you to stay vigilant when every part of you wanted to give up. It was teaching the other guys what you'd learned. Spreading the knowledge that kept people alive. It was not being alone. That's what you'll remember when the details fade. Not the specific techniques or the clever tricks. The warmth of another person in the darkness. The voice saying, "Wake up," when you started to drift. The trust that builds when 2 people decide they're going to keep each other breathing no matter what. The coldest place on earth becomes survivable when you've got someone beside you. Martinez has fallen asleep. His head is tilted back against the side of the truck, mouth slightly open, snoring just a little. The sound that means he's actually resting, actually letting go. You watch him for a moment. This guy from Texas you'd never have met if not for the war. This stranger who became something closer than a brother over the course of a few frozen weeks. Rosa Delgado has no idea how lucky she is if she says yes, when she says yes. She'd be getting a man who knows how to survive, who knows how to take care of the people beside him, who stayed human when everything around him was trying to strip that humanity away. You'll stay friends, probably. Exchange addresses when the war is over, write letters, maybe visit. But it won't be the same. It can't be. The bond you built in those foxholes was forged by circumstances that don't exist in normal life. Heat and pressure, like making steel, and maybe that's okay. Maybe some things are meant to be temporary, intense and brief, and exactly what you need in that moment. You'll remember him forever. The humming, the jokes about Rosa Delgado, the way he handed you warm water when you'd almost let yourself freeze. The sound of his voice saying we teach the others like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Some friendships are measured in years. This one was measured in nights survived, worth more than any amount of time. You think about the men who didn't make it. Henderson frozen in his shallow foxhole. Kowalski waiting for surgeons to take his feet. All the others whose names you never learned. Carried out on stretchers or left behind in the snow. They weren't weaker than you. They weren't less deserving. They just didn't know. Didn't have the right information at the right time. Didn't have someone beside them who'd figured out the tricks. That's the tragedy of it. Not that the cold was unbeatable. It wasn't. The survival techniques existed. The knowledge was there. It just didn't reach the people who needed it. The army called those casualties largely preventable, and they were right. That's the worst part. All those deaths. All those amputations. All those ruined lives. And most of it could have been avoided if someone had just taught people what you taught yourself. The truck slows, pulls into what looks like a supply depot. Buildings with actual walls and roofs, smoke rising from chimneys. The promise of real shelter, real warmth, real rest. End of the line, someone calls. Everybody out. You shake Martinez awake. He blinks, confused for a moment, then remembers where he is, where both of you are. We made it, he says. We made it. You climb down from the truck together. Your boots hit solid ground, not frozen earth, not snow. Just packed dirt that feels almost warm compared to what you've been standing on. Around you, other soldiers are unloading, finding their units, their friends, their assigned bunks. The chaos of the rear echelon, where war is logistics instead of survival. You'll figure out where you're supposed to be. Find a place to sleep that isn't a hole in the ground. Get some real food, take a real shower. Maybe even write back to your sister. But right now, in this moment, you just stand there, breathing, feeling the sun on your face, weak January sun. Barely warm, but warm enough you're alive after everything. After the cold that tried to kill you, and the army that failed to protect you, and the winter that was supposed to break the American line forever. You're alive. The warmth that mattered most didn't come from gear or technology. Not from the jackets that arrived too late, or the boots that were sized wrong, or the supply chain that fell apart when you needed it most. The warmth came from the soldiers beside you, from the knowledge passed hand to hand. Foxhole to foxhole, from men who refused to let each other freeze alone. You learned a lot out there, about physics, about survival, about what the human body can endure when it has to. But the most important lesson was simpler than all of that. In the coldest place you've ever been, the warmth that kept you alive came from the people around you. And maybe that's true everywhere. Maybe that's always been true. Martinez claps you on the shoulder. Come on, let's go find somewhere warm. You nod. Take one last look at the road behind you. The road that leads back to Bastogne, to the forest, to the frozen nightmare you somehow survived. Then you turn away. Walk toward the buildings, toward shelter, toward whatever comes next. The war isn't over, but this part is, and you made it through. Tonight you'll sleep in an actual bed, with walls around you and a roof overhead, and heat that doesn't come from another body pressed against yours. It'll feel strange, probably, after so long in the foxhole, surrounded by earth and straw and the constant whisper of the wind. But it'll be good. Rest you've earned, safety you fought for, and as you drift off, warm and fed and finally safe, you'll think about that frozen forest one more time. Not with fear, not anymore, with gratitude, because you learned something there, something you'll carry with you for the rest of your life. The cold can't beat you if you refuse to face it alone. That forest out there, that frozen hell that almost killed you, it's quiet now. The wind still blows through the pines. The snow still falls, but you're not there anymore. You're somewhere warm, somewhere safe, somewhere the cold can't reach you. And all those lessons, all those tricks, all those desperate measures, they're part of you now, written into your bones. You'll teach your kids someday, probably. Show them how to crumple newspaper for insulation. Explain why straw makes better bedding than blankets. Tell them about the buddy system, about watching out for each other, about how two people together can survive things that would kill either one alone. They won't understand. Not really. You can't understand unless you've been there, but they'll remember. And maybe someday, when they're cold and scared and far from home, some piece of what you taught them will surface. Some fragment of survival knowledge that might just save their lives. That's how it passes on, generation to generation, lesson to lesson. The wisdom of people who learned the hard way, shared with people who haven't had to learn yet. You're part of that chain now, connected to your grandmother, who knew about newspaper insulation, connected to the sergeant who taught you about straw, connected to Martinez, to Henderson, to all the men who figured out how to fight an enemy that couldn't be killed, only outlasted. The night's quiet now, peaceful, the kind of quiet you'd forgotten existed. Close your eyes, feel the warmth around you. Not shared body heat this time, just warmth. Simple, easy warmth. The kind you can find anywhere in the normal world. The kind you'll never take for granted again. The war will go on tomorrow. There will be more fighting, more fear, more cold nights ahead, but not tonight. Tonight you rest. You've earned it. You've more than earned it. Let the memories fade for now. Let the forest drift away. Let all of it, the foxholes, the frost, the fear, let it all become distant, soft, like a dream you're waking from. You made it through, and now it's time to sleep. Really sleep. The deepest, warmest, safest sleep you've had in weeks. Close your eyes, breathe, rest. You're home now. Not Pennsylvania home, not yet, but somewhere close enough. Somewhere the cold can't find you. Somewhere you're not alone. Good night.